Well, with that, I don't know what to say. I'm starting. Thanks a lot, Herb, for that. Appreciate it. I guess what a year it's been. A couple of suggestions, I guess, for John. One would be to start this affair the next time we have a championship season about 5:30 instead of 6:30. And maybe one year we can have the football team go first. I don't know. I know you people must be awful tired sitting there. If you want to stand up and take a breather, that's okay with me. We'll just be here at 11 o'clock probably. So what a year it's been. What a year. I keep looking while I was in here listening to all the other speeches. I keep looking up at that championship flag there and thinking, my goodness, I've been here a little bit longer than that first one. But we're going to put another one up there this year, and we're going to put another one up there next year too. Aren't we, boys? I guess Jason Avery happened to be the fullback for Cambridge Springs High School, and he said in the paper, they're just another day in the ballpark. We kind of took that, and we didn't like it too well. Okay, when he said, we're just another day in the ballpark for them. So we kind of turned that around, and each time these boys hit Jason Avery and a few of the other boys for Cambridge Springs, they were telling him, this is your last day in the ballpark. And it was. Then we added a little bit more to it, and I just took down that sign today that hung up at the coach's office for the last couple of weeks, and it said, this is our year in the ballpark. What do you say we give those boys a hand, huh? The sophomore, now these first two guys, they earned their letter on special teams. Okay, and he's got a bright future as a running back for us. You saw him make some good runs in the JV contest. He's a hard runner, quick, shifty, and he likes to play offense. Jeff Logan. He's going to be defense. He just is all over the place, and we put him on, the second team against the varsity. And he's been playing a lot of inside linebacker for us in the second team, and he seems to be getting better at it, and that's Jerry Smith. 2 big games, and we were a little leery about putting him back in for the Iroquois contest because we didn't know how he was going to be able to stand up, but he looked good that week in practice, so we said, you're starting. Okay, you're going to start. We're going to leave you in there, and after we watched the films, I know that the whole staff was very up on his and what he had done as far as blocks. He didn't miss any, stayed with his man, and he drove him down the field and out of the way, and that would be Mike Lips. A new boy for him on a squad where you've got 28 people to begin with. There's 22 positions, right? Starters on football. And then the next night to have the other tackle go down, we really were searching ourselves, what are we doing? Well, it didn't hurt us in the end. But this other young man, he made first team as an offensive tackle as a junior. And that's telling you something because, my colleagues in the profession, they don't vote for you because they're popular, because they know your last name. They vote for you because you're good. And he is one of the best ones. And I want you to notice all the bigger he is. To be nominated as a first-team offensive tackle, you usually see somebody 6'4", 260 coming up here, and you're not going to see that. Tim Valencia. Beginning, I hope you don't mind me saying that, but he had an appendix problem, and he was our defensive end starting last year. We put him back there at the beginning of this season, and we played, and to be honest with you, he just wasn't strong enough to handle that spot when we scrimmaged Harvard Creek. And so we took him out of there, and we started in that defensive end the last, starting with Cambridge Springs when our tackle went down. And boy, did he come on for us. Really tough. They didn't get around his end, so they gave us another tough defensive ball player. And he also started for us at the offensive tight end position, and he was a great blocker for us there. A lot of down blocks he had to get, a lot of blocks on linebackers he has to get, And those are key blocks for us when we run this belly option that we run, and had so many yards with that. He was the key man on that. And he has a technique of catching the football on our waggle pass from the quarterback. He's a good baseball player too. I think he's kind of combined two moves. That one, sliding into third base and catching a football now. I hope he doesn't put his hands up when he slides into third base this spring, though. That'd be J.J. Park. Okay, now we go to our slot position, slot back. Okay, also at that slot position, the best in the league. He is one of the best in the league. And I just wish I could have done more to try to get him a nomination for that. He's a great running back. As far as that defensive back is concerned, who is not going to remember that tremendous interception at the 1 yard line that this young man made in the Cambridge Springs game? That'll live forever in our minds, those of us who relish this sport. And that game that stands for everything that the game of football represents, the greatest sport in America. And that's said as an all sports banquet, so you can read it in the paper. I have the microphone last, you see. These guys are all relaxed, thinking about 11 o'clock news. Wake up. I'll tell you, this young man I'm talking about had a tough job. He had the toughest job on the team this year. Because, it came on Thursday that he had to replace the best running back in the conference. And to do that and fill those shoes, that's going to not be an easy task. And he had Thursday and Friday to get ready for it. And then there was some doubt up, even at that point, whether he'd even have to replace him. Until game day did he find that out. And I tell you what, Jason Deese did a very admirable job in replacing that great running back. You just say, stud, The boys know he's a stud. I mean, the girls here, they know he's a stud. Coach Walter knows. I know it. The new man here, he's learning it. I'll tell you, when he pulls, he gets out there, and he's not big again. He's one of our, we pull a lot, okay? I understand that. I don't know if you know what that means. We don't, it's not this. We do, ladies, but we pull. And when we pull, they hit people and they knock them down, or they cut them in half. And that's what we expect him to do. And boy, does he do a fantastic job of that. And I know he's wanting to do it right now. And, this last film against the Iroquois, he played defensive end for us on the other side off of the JJ. And we watched him in a film clip, and he just does it. Just exactly the way it's supposed to be done. He gets on his outside shoulder on that blocker, and he just follows him right outside, and then he sheds that blocker, and when that back cuts up, he's right on top of him. So, stud Ken York, let's get your award. Cross-country people and you basketball people, but you're all Lions at heart, and these boys just did something that nobody's done in 19 years here. So if I take until 11 o'clock, you can walk out and I'll talk to the wall. Okay, the next junior, special place in my heart. He's a co-captain. He's my son, and I don't know, that's enough for him right there, I guess. But I would also have to tell you that he's the best quarterback in the FCDC, voted by my colleagues. And I have to say, and I know there's a few coaches that will agree, not just the best in our league, but possibly the best in this part of Pennsylvania. at that quarterback position. He's been there as a 9th grader, started as a 10th grader, and now as a junior. I'm not giving us statistics tonight because you don't listen to those after 8:30 anyway. His passing, when he hits somebody with a pass, it pops. Those pads hit. And I told you a little bit ago, Tommy Carnes played in Allegheny. Lenny came home the other night, he said, a week ago, he told me, he said, Dad, he said, I was in the weight room during one of my study halls, he said, and I put up 245 pounds. And I said, and he said, yeah, Mr. Frank Otis saw me do it too. And I said, gee, that's great, Lenny, that's really great. He said, yeah, Dad, I did it twice. So, as I told you, you have to be strong to play this game, and if you can't coach your own son better than you coach anybody else, then you better not be in the building, right? So he works hard, now, before, and forever. There's only one thing that I hope. You want to know what that is?
Sure.
I just don't hope his aim as is good the first day of buck season as it was this season. I'm hungry for some deer meat. That's probably more of an inside joke than it is for you folks. Lenny McCullough. Okay, the next young man, Mike the Fox Drexler. Now, you don't want to hang on to that title, right? We'll just say Mike Drexler. I say the best running back in the conference, made first team, both ways as a running back and as a defensive back. Well, we're not supposed to release it, doesn't matter. Jason Avery had 40 votes. Number 1 running back counted. Okay. Number 2 with 39 votes was Mike Drexler. Okay. And then number 3 was Harvey with about 12 votes less. The other great boy from there. Okay, so he is a great running back, and I'll tell you, he's got the greatest, softest, receiver hands that we've ever had here at this school. And I just know that, he shined this year. He's not going to have the chicken pox next season. He'll be here again next year for us. Mike Drexler. I should add that he had 103 points for us this season out of those 260-some. 15. And it's really a sad occasion for me to see them leave because they meant so much to the Linesville football program these last several years. I guess we'll start with the center. We had one bad exchange all season. Okay, he also played a defensive tackle, and again, the FCBC awarded him first team at both of those positions because they thought he was so great. He works hard, he lifts weights, we're small. If those boys that start, they all bench press over 200 pounds. I don't want to say that's a rule for these 8th graders out here, but, if you don't bench 200 pounds, you probably aren't going to start, right, Coach? You probably won't, unless you're a wide out. Unless you're a wide receiver, then we don't think you need the strength. Okay, but here, you've got to be able to handle your opponent. You're not going to do that unless you can bench at least that much. I won't go into that. Recruit tonight. Anyway, Steve Hawthorne, first team both ways, never a bad exchange, and he shores up that defensive tackle spot. He loves the game of football, and he's worked on it for years, and I hope all that work and dedication that he's done is going to pay off. I certainly hope it will, Steve. Hope you get your letters tonight. Okay, the other line is the senior lineman we have. Again, another first team selection both ways. This time, the bookend to to Kenny, the other guard, that does all the pulling. And he just does a fantastic job. You'll notice that, he's not 200 pounds, he's not 6 foot tall, but he's strong. Okay, and he's also quite fast. With the offense we're running right now, we're taking some of our best back candidates and putting them up in the line. Okay, which you might find odd, but it pays off the way we're doing things today. But Mac Dickey is one fantastic lineman for us, and I know he's really loved the game. He has enjoyed it up through this season, okay? Mac, get your letter. Jalen Malone, senior, sitting over there at that table. He's talking about 200 pounds, 6 foot tall. You look at how you'll miss him. A lot of our opposition missed him too. He could run over, around, and through them. Okay, and he did a fine job of that. He had 781 yard plays in my playbook for the fullback to catch passes. And you know, with him, I took him out. Because he could run, he didn't need to catch the ball. Right, Brian? He just run the ball. And I know the opposition is going to hate to see him go because he was all over their halfbacks and their fullbacks. He was a sure tackler for us, and well, we won't get into that any further. But Brian, why don't you come up and get your award before I say everything here now. I would also like to say that Ryan was selected as first team defensive inside linebacker. That is a very studly position in football. Right? And secondly, he was second team offensive running back for us. Now, I told you a little bit ago the top 3, okay? And he was next, 1 point behind that Harvey boy from Cambridge Spring. And in the FCVC this year, they've eliminated a lot of the positions on the all-county selection. I mean, we have 27 first-team picks as far as coaches are concerned when you consider a punter, a punt returner, a kickoff return specialist, and an extra point kicker. There's 5, plus 11 offense, 11 defense. That's 27. Well, they elected to only go with 11 offense. This is the group comprised of mostly principals. Okay, in the league, they elected to go with just 11 offense and 11 defense. Okay, and always before we would have 4 offensive running backs for first team and 1 quarterback. So, he would have been first team if it hadn't been for their change. Okay, which I don't know. You'll have to ask those that are in power to explain that. Okay. These are the WBCC radio station when they do a game, picks players of the game. And this one was between Lionsville and Cambridge Springs. This one is presented to Lenny McCullough from the radio station WBCC. And Jason Steve was the other one in the Cambridge Springs game. Also for that game was selected Mike Drexler. While he's here, he was selected for that game, he was selected for the Maplewood game, and he was selected for the Conklin game. Those are our letter award recipients. I would ask at this time that if the captains, co-captains could come up here and make this presentation to Mr. Minnie, please.
On behalf of the 1992 Lions Thunder football team, we'd like to present this football to Lionsville High School.
our undefeated football. We have 4 out there in a trophy case now. I think we can squeeze in a 5th. A couple of closing remarks I'd like to present to you. I think the fan support this year has been tremendous. Okay, the fire truck parades after the Cambridge Springs victory, and also at the end of the year when we had the undefeated season, were something I'd like to thank and give a round of applause to Stu Storm and Lisa for organizing that all. Thank you so much. You know, and it didn't really strike me about the fan support and the community support we had. We had certainly a lot of good press coverage from the Meadville Tribune, I thought, this year. They only let us down in the last ball game, the Iroquois game, and they called me, Matt Martin in there called me, and he apologized for not having a reporter at that game. I understand that Bruce Mellering was supposed to cover that game for the Tribune, and something, personal emergency came up, and he couldn't make it that night. But the rest of the year was fantastic coverage there, and as I said, this community was fantastic. And it really struck me when I received something a half a state away from a former assistant coach of mine, art teacher here at the school about 4 years ago, by the name of Bob Glover. He's now at Southwestern High School in Hanover, Pennsylvania. He attended 3 of our football games, okay, along with Nina's youngest son, Pat. But he faxed me this clipping out of the newspaper there. This is the newspaper that decides the state ratings. And this was the Wednesday after the game with Cambridge Springs, when we became the 4th ranked team. And as I said, it didn't strike me about the fan support of this Lionsville community and how much you are Lions at heart until I read this in this Harrisburg newspaper. And so I'll read this little clip to you. And the headline says, "Number 1 unfriendly to Marion Catholic." Marion Catholic had been the number 1 ranked Class A team in the state until this week. They were knocked off there that very week, and then Rochester became number 1. But this is the part about us. It says, "A crowd of 4,000 watched Lionsville knock off Cambridge Springs, ended by Ken York's sack of Cambridge quarterback Matt Dutton with 46 seconds left. Maybe folks around here who have seen crowds of 10,000 to 12,000 for high school games sniff at that number. But when you consider the combined population of the boroughs of Linesville and Cambridge Springs is 2,662, that's the 1990 census, well, you get an idea of the scope of this game. So that tells you how many fans we've had here this year. Okay, when you hear things like that from a news reporter half a state away. And I would just like to applaud you folks. Okay? You know, I've been bestowed with a very great friend and a longtime supporter of this program that I've built here at Lionsville, the Lions football program. And that great friend of mine, at near the conclusion of the season, says, "Dan, these men of yours and you coaches, you deserve a little banquet." And so he said, "I'm going to give you one." And he's giving us a banquet this coming Saturday, November 21st. Okay, he's footing the bill for the players, the cheerleaders, the coaches, and their wives at the Stable Pit Pub at 6:30. Okay, this coming Saturday night. And we are opening it up to the public, so, you know, we've had tremendous support this year. And I've taken the opportunity to print up a few of these little gadgets for you. If you're interested in attending that banquet, okay, see me. They're on, you know, I have them for sale. The price of the dinner is $8.50, and that's what they are. There's nobody making any money on this, okay, except the Pit Pub. $8.50. I have them. They're on sale in the office here at the school, and Mike Drexler downtown has some for sale. Okay, so I would hope we would get people there to honor this group. And, you know, I haven't talked too long tonight. But we will have some special awards to present because, if you understand, you know, I am not going to present the MVP tonight for the team. That will be presented at that banquet, and I hope you can understand why I will not present it now. There will be a few other awards presented that night. I would also like to say that this same great individual that wishes to remain anonymous has decided to bring in a guest speaker for this affair. He's flying up some bigwig from the Southeastern Conference. Okay, those are schools like you see them on television, University of Alabama, LSU, Mississippi, Mississippi State, University of Tennessee, University of Georgia, University of Kentucky, Auburn and Vanderbilt. Okay, he's Associate Commissioner for the Southeastern Conference. That bigwig, I'm very proud to say, is my brother, and he is flying him up here to be the guest speaker for that affair. So I would hope that you would all come to that this coming Saturday night, and we have the tickets. I thank you very much for your time. One last thing. We have French Creek Valley Athletic Conference plaques that are presented to all those individuals who received all-county awards. So we'll give these out to, real quick, Lenny? Yeah, I'm Lenny. Here you go, buddy. Okay, offense and defense presented to Mike Drexler. There we go. Okay, offense and defense for Mac Dickey. Yeah! Offense and defense for Steve Hawthorne. Don't forget now, we're not done yet. We got Jackson passed out. I'm sure John will tell you about that. Congratulations. Tim Valensky, offensive tackle. And Brian Gillette, first team linebacker. Thanks again.